Pa, Surika, Paul and Evan walking on cars. I'm so delighted to be joining you in your hometown of Dingle. We're sitting by the fireside. Can it get any more perfect for you? Like, I imagine that this is what you do all day, every day. Sit by the fireside and chat and jam it out. Is that it, Pa?
This is the perfect album launch.
Yeah.
You've had so much success since 2017, but you've stayed so true to your roots. You've no intention, Surika, of ever leaving Dingle. Is that correct?
I don't think so. We'll leave to go on tour and obviously play around the world, hopefully. But I think we're going to stay based here for the time being anyway. Yeah.
And I mean, as musicians, not saying that there isn't opportunity in Dingle, but I'd imagine Dublin, London, New York. Paul, what's the music scene like here for you?
It's all right. There's a big, massive trad scene in Dingle, so there's no shortage of musicians about the place. We have the Other Voices in December, and it's handy to get a place to rehearse and record. We can do whatever we want without anybody bothering us.
For sure. And I'm sure that when you need some artistic motivation, taking a walk or a drive around Slayhead, it's the most incredible of settings. So
it is, yeah. We're blessed, and we don't take it for granted, and we're not going to leave anytime soon.
So talk to me about the whirlwind journey you've had since 2017. You released your first album over 2 years ago now, and you've kind of conquered the world. You have really a band coming from Dingle. You're pretty much known all over the world at this stage. How does that feel?
We're in a good place. Feels good, and we can't wait for this album to. Well, actually, it's out now. We're so delighted that Colours is finally here and people get to enjoy it, because it's been a while coming.
It has been a while coming, and it's an incredible album when you compare it to your first album. I think for me that Colours is a really emotional album. You do go on an emotional journey from tracks that are really sad to songs that you just want to dance your heart off to.
So I suppose it was all a process, really. We sat down to kind of write the second album, I suppose, about 2 years ago. And so we wrote loads of songs, and then we kind of decided to start again, and then we wrote the second batch of songs. So we're our own worst critics, and I think it took so long because we're really particular and we really wanted to have honest songs that people could connect with musically, emotionally, lyrically. And I think that's what we've gotten, and we just stayed true to ourselves and who we are. And I think that's kind of why people are connecting with the songs in that way.
Absolutely. The final song in the album is called Pieces of You. It's a really sad song, I think, and I know that there's emotional, story behind it for all of you in the band. Did you find it really hard to write about something like that, Pa?
I think it was kind of in us for a while, and when you kind of sit down to write that kind of tune, there's always there's a sad energy in the room, and you're like, okay, are we going to write about this or are we going to not? Because it's very easy to just avoid it, because it's kind of really strong, kind of hard feeling to deal with. But we just kind of dived in, and we're so delighted that Pieces of You is on the album, and it's my favourite.
Yeah, it's your favourite, because I did want to ask you if you all had a cumulative favourite, or do you all have different favourites from the album? Evan, you've said nothing yet, so what's your favourite?
One Last Dance.
One Last Dance, why?
I don't know, it's just
You like how it sounds.
Yeah. Most drum fills in it, so.
And like we were talking about the emotions on the album, my favourite is Too Emotional. I think that I think it has been tipped to be the song of the summer. Have you heard that?
Oh
Yeah?
Who's tipping?
But I think Hot Press tipped it to be song of the summer. Yeah. So I can totally see why, though. It's like a feel-good track that makes you want to dance. So what inspired that one, Paul?
I suppose we did a songwriting session in London for that one, and it just kind of came together very quickly. It was the buzz was in the kind of the progression, and it's kind of a happy progression. So then with the sad it's kind of sad. The lyrics in a way a bit slapstick, but sad at the same time. So that kind of juxtaposed itself. That's where that whole thing came from. Then all the synths whacked on top of that by Surika. You got yourself.
Yeah.
Boom.
I kind of feel like it has a 70s vibe to it. It all kind of makes you want to disco dance. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah. No, because the predominant synth on that track is a synth from the 70s, I think. Yeah, an old Moog. So you're right on that. Yeah.
We play so much 70s music on Spin,
Yeah.
But so guys, absolutely loving all of those. I have to ask you, maybe about a touchy subject. You had to deal with the loss of your lead guitarist, Dan, midway through writing your album. So how did that affect the album writing or the band in general, Pa?
It was definitely a hard time for us. It was kind of came as a shock, and those kind of things you kind of have to respect and accept and kind of move on from it. And I think there's a couple of months there where we were kind of found it difficult to kind of focus up again, but I think we did, and we're very happy with where we're at now.
Absolutely. And did it come about that there were tracks you had written or recorded maybe featuring him that had to be scrapped, or did you use them, or was it a total cut, or did you still maybe include him if you could?
No, we have there's 2 tracks on the record, One Last Dance and Coldest Water, and they're both written with Dan, and they're both awesome tracks.
Absolutely. So what a legacy. Right, we're going to finish up with a quick fire round, if you don't mind. We got on to our listeners, right? And we asked them for some weird and wacky, wonderful questions. We picked the best 4 and we've given a question to each of you. Is that okay? Yeah. So some are sad, some are happy, some are maybe difficult to answer. But here we go. Okay, Pa, you're number 1. If you could duet with any singer, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Duet with any singer, oh yeah, it would have to be. I did an April Fool's about this a couple of weeks ago. It has to be Celine Dion.
Oh, amazing.
It has to be. I know I was joking, but that would be amazing.
And what would you sing together? Do you have any idea?
Probably the Titanic theme tune, release it again.
Jack and Rose, eat your heart out. You could totally set that up in Dingle Bay there, get a boat. Serica. And you'd actually be freezing to death, like. Serica, who is the most famous contact you have in your phone book?
Most famous contact? Oh, God. Who
It can't
is
be
the
someone in
most
the band.
famous contact? I think I have Danny O'Reilly's number. There.
Oh, from the pronoun.
Yeah.
The most famous.
Yeah, I live in Dingle.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Gooch or something. Anyway. Right, Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, I must tell you something quickly as well. This is a story and then a sad question, right? In 2011, I was in college studying to be a teacher, and I was down in Dingle, and a friend of mine who's from Dingle pointed you out and said that guy's going to be in a really famous band. You were making cocktails in the back of Dick Max.
Yeah.
Is that right?
That is 100% true.
Yeah, your cocktails weren't great. Have they gotten better?
Weren't great. Oh, jeez.
I think I got a dodgy mojito. That's the last I remember.
We only do dodgy mojitos, I'm afraid, yeah.
No, I'm joking. That was the last time I cried. So when was the last time you cried, Paul?
Jeez, that's a good question. Last time
Sorry,
I cried.
that's a mellow
It's probably during like some Trocra ad or something when I was really hungover. Like, get the fear real bad and then just can't even look at anything sad, yeah.
You know the fear will improve when you give up the mojitos from Dick Max. But anyway, thank you. Evan, you're the last and final question. So we're going to end on maybe a bit of an X-rated note. Who is the last person, Evan, you saw naked?
Myself this morning.
Other than yourself.
My girlfriend.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. Thank God. Guys, we wish you all the best with your upcoming album, Colours, and the very best with all your gigs and tours around Ireland. We love you on Spin Southwest, so we're going to keep playing you flat out all summer. And thank you so much for chatting to us.
Thank you.
Thanks for your support.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Woo!